Welcome to the HFY Tales channel. Remember to like and subscribe if you like the story. Enjoy and take care. The dense foliage of Zeta Prime towered high above, a wild tapestry wrought from alien flora. Jake Reynolds took a deep breath, inhaling the vibrant, spice-laden air. Here he was, a soldier of the United Earth Forces, tasked with the monumental job of scouting ancient ruins on a planet that hardly anyone would dare to tread alone. Just another day at the office, he mumbled to himself, adjusting the strap of his laser rifle, rolling up the sleeves of his uniform while reflecting on the day's potential. Today's mission was straightforward on paper: gather intel on a recently discovered site believed to be an ancient alien outpost. But Jake couldn't help but feel a little excitement swell in his chest, a unique blend of nerves and anticipation. Rumors spoke of bizarre technology and rich alien histories waiting to be uncovered, possibly even something that could change the course of human understanding. His team, a ragtag group of seasoned soldiers, had made it a tradition to joke about their admittedly dangerous job. During the last briefing, one of his teammates, a wise-cracking officer named Max, leaned back in his chair with a playful smirk. "If we find hot aliens, I'm just saying, don't get too attached, Jake." Jake shot back with a roll of his eyes. "Right, because I'll just ask the aliens to wait while I get to know them, Max. Dying for love sounds so romantic." The camaraderie kept their spirits high as they navigated through the undulating terrain. As they stomped through the thick underbrush and towering bioluminescent trees, the vivid sounds of alien wildlife filled the air, part symphony, part chaotic din. "Let's keep our heads in the game, folks. Remember, one wrong move and we could end up as the morning's predator breakfast," remarked the team leader, Captain Harlow, his voice a resonant authority among the troops. Just as he was about to mentally sketch out the surrounding area, Jake felt a flicker of movement through the vines. With the reflexes of a trained soldier, he squinted, adjusting his tactical headset. Something was lurking out there, hidden just beyond the tapestry of emerald greens. For a moment his heart raced, pounding like a war drum. "Jake, you good?" came Harlow's voice over the comms, breaking his focus. "Just think I saw something," Jake replied, raising his rifle slightly, a mix of anticipation and caution coursing through him. "More likely a glowbug or a big lizard. Keep moving," Harlow commanded, though the nervous edge in his tone suggested he was on alert as well. Sighing, Jake couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. The vibrant jungle hummed with energy, and he could almost sense the thrill riding the wind. Little did he know, his life was about to become significantly more complicated and exciting by an encounter that would forever change his perspective on the galaxies beyond. As Jake continued to scout deeper into the foliage, he stumbled upon an eerily serene clearing. The usual jungle sounds faded to a whisper, replaced instead with joyous laughter. Musical and alluring, it enveloped him like a warm mist. Curious, he adjusted his grip on his rifle and stepped forward, his heart pounding in his chest. In the heart of the glade, a group of aliens danced and played a peculiar game under shafts of sunlight filtering through the dense canopy. They were brightly colored, with skin that shimmered like spun glass. But it was the striking figure at the center that held Jake's attention. Standing tall with a playful glint in her iridescent eyes was Sandra. Sandra radiated an infectious energy, her short hair faintly illuminated with neon hues, bouncing with every movement. Her laughter intertwined with her friends as they tossed a luminescent orb back and forth, lost in the joy of the moment. Jake couldn't help but chuckle as one of them miscalculated a throw, sending the orb soaring sideways into the bushes. The resulting commotion was both comical and enchanting. Not wanting to disturb, but unable to resist the magnetic pull of their laughter, Jake stepped a little closer. "What kind of game is this?" he asked, his voice breaking through the spell of merriment. Sandra turned with a beaming smile, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "This? It's called Lumina Toss. But you have to be fast, quick like a shadow." She beckoned him to join, her enthusiasm infectious. Jake grinned, half-heartedly waving his hands in mock negation. "I don't think I'm that quick, but I could give it a shot." With surprising deftness, she tossed the orb toward him with a playful flick of her wrist. He caught it with an awkward stumble, laughter erupting from the aliens around him. "See? Not bad for a human." She praised him, her tone teasing yet warm. "Don't celebrate too soon," Jake shot back as he tossed the orb again. But it veered off course, landing hilariously short. "Oof, that one definitely needs more practice," Sandra chided gently, her laughter delighting the group. Jake chuckled, shaking his head. "Tough crowd, give me a break, I'm still learning alien sports." As the game continued, Jake shifted the topic to things more personal. "So what's it like growing up among all this?" He gestured toward the bioluminescent landscape that pulsed with life and color. Sandra's expression turned contemplative as her laughter subsided. "It's beautiful, but lonely. I've always wanted to explore beyond these woods, to learn about other species and cultures. You humans are fascinating both in stories and in reality." Jake smiled, captivated. "We're not that special," he teased. "We're just hairless monkeys with technology." Her lips curved into a mock horror. "Hairless monkeys? You are selling yourself short. There's more in your eyes than you realize." "Hey, wait until you meet my friend Max," he said, laughter brightening his voice. And suddenly he felt a deeper connection sparking between them. Whatever connection was growing between them was palpable. It crackled in the air, taut with energy. For a fleeting moment, silence enveloped them as their gazes met, and Jake could feel his heart racing. "What do you want to learn about us?" Jake asked, refocusing on the whimsical atmosphere that surrounded them. "Everything," she exclaimed, the sparkle returning. "But first, can you teach me a human greeting?" Jake raised an eyebrow. "You mean like a handshake?" "No, something more daring." She stepped closer, her voice a soft challenge. "What's this showing skin thing I've heard of?" He chuckled, catching her teasing tone. "I think it means taking off a couple of layers. I didn't think you'd be interested in going that far." Sandra grinned, her eyes glinting with mischief. "I think I will. Prepare yourself." Suddenly she lunged forward, a flash of movement, and with a quick flick of her wrist, she tugged at the collar of Jake's uniform, ripping a piece of cloth right off. "No way!" Jake exclaimed in surprise, reaching up to feel the sudden breeze against his neck. "A token of our friendship," she winked, her carefree spirit electrifying the moment. Jake couldn't help but laugh, half amused and half flustered. "Is this how aliens make friends? Because I'm going to need a few more uniforms at this rate." The game of Luminitas evolved into a whirlwind of joyful camaraderie, with Jake and Sandra at the heart of it. More luminescent orbs filled the air, and the clearing exploded with contagious laughter. Jake could hardly believe how quickly he fell under Sandra's spell. Her laughter echoed like the sweetest of music in his ears. "Okay, human, your turn," Sandra challenged, standing back, her hands on her hips, mischief dancing in her eyes. Jake released a mock-serious expression, prepare to be dazzled. He focused intently, aligning himself with a determined glimmer in his eyes, and threw the orb. It twisted through the air but landed awkwardly short, rolling harmlessly away. "Oof, that one definitely needs more practice," Sandra teased, her eyes shining with mirth. Jake responded, "Clearly my alien skills need a performance review." With mounting confidence, the game continued, and they found themselves exchanging verbal jabs, reminiscent of friendly banter between old friends. As the intensity of the game softened, Jake shifted topics. "So, what's it like growing up among all this?" He gestured toward the bioluminescent landscape, vibrant with life swirling around them. Sandra paused, her expression turning momentarily serious. "It's beautiful, but lonely. I've always wanted to explore beyond these woods, to learn about other species and cultures. You humans are fascinating, both in stories and in reality." Jake smiled, captivated by her earnestness. "We're not that special," he teased. "We're just hairless monkeys with technology." Her lips curled in a mock horror. "Hairless monkeys? You are selling yourself short. There's more in your eyes than you realize." "Hey, wait until you meet my friend Max," he said with a glint in his eye. As they continued to share playful jabs, Jake felt himself growing bolder. He wanted to know more about this alien girl who had turned his day upside down. "Ever had a taste of human food?" "No, but I've always wanted to," Sandra replied, her excitement evident. Jake leaned closer, whispering conspiratorially, "We should have a food showdown. Bring your best dish and I'll bring mine. Who knows, you might love the spicy flavors of Earth. Sandra laughed, playfully nudging him. But what is spicy, really? Is it dangerous? I've encountered your brave Earthlings. Don't underestimate me. Their banter flowed effortlessly, punctuated with laughter and gentle ribbing. The other aliens watched the interaction with keen interest, some exchanging knowing glances. As the joy enveloped them like a vibrant tapestry, Jake felt the tension from earlier disappear, replaced by warmth and understanding. But just as the atmosphere grew casual and fluid, a distant rustle in the underbrush caught Jake's attention. A tingle of unease returned, unwelcome, but persistent. Shaking it off, he turned back to Sandra, hoping to preserve the connection he felt. You've just made a friend in a human, and I'd really like to explore more together. Where do I sign up for alien friendship training? Sandra beamed at him, laughter dancing in her features. You accommodate easily, Jake, but now I think you owe me a dance. His laughter mixed with the soft rustle of the trees, filling the clearing as he hesitated charmingly. I warn you, my dance skills are purely experimental. Fantastic! Let's see this experiment of yours, she coaxed, dragging him into the spontaneous rhythm of their vibrant world. Back at the Earth Forces camp, Jake burst through the foliage, still buoyed by the heady thrill of his encounter with Sandra. His heart raced as he hustled to the command tent, eager to share the exhilarating details with his comrades. The tent was filled with the familiar scent of military rations, blended with the earthiness of the outside world. Army green tarps flap in the breeze, while the ambient sounds of distant conversations and equipment whirring set a militaristic tone. Jake's teammates looked up from their discussions. Expressions shifted from curiosity to mixed skepticism and amusement as he entered. Jake, you back safe? Did you survive the alien jungle? Max joked, elbowing another soldier, clearly wanting in on the fun. Not just safe, brimming with stories, Jake announced, an exuberant grin breaking across his face. You won't believe what I just saw. As Jake recounted his encounter, detailed with wild gestures and laughter, he noticed a gulf of skepticism wash over the group, their raised eyebrows and the creased lines of concern growing deeper. Bro, you're playing with fire. Those alien chicks are not to be messed with. They have weird customs, Max chimed, his tone light yet tinged with genuine concern. Jake waved his hand dismissively. Come on, she was just playful. Sandra's curious, not dangerous. Not half as dangerous as the grumpy sergeant you were last week. The tension was palpable. A few soldiers exchanged worried glances. Captain Harlow, the pragmatic leader, broke in, his voice steady and firm. Listen, Jake, we appreciate your enthusiasm, but we need to be cautious. We're already walking on thin ice. It's better to see it as a mission before emotions get tangled. What do you mean? Jake asked, pressing a palm to his forehead in frustration. Think about it. We're interlopers here. This planet is not ours, and we've already breached a number of protocols. If the locals catch wind of your little bonding sessions— Fraternizing? Is that really how you see it? Jake interjected, his patience beginning to fray. Harlow's gaze remained unyielding. Yes, Jake, we're here for a reason. We're explorers, not tour guides. Interactions could lead to misunderstandings. Jake folded his arms, feeling a simmering mix of anger and worry. You treat her like she's an enemy instead of someone with a heartbeat. I know what I felt today. I'm going back. Suit yourself, Captain Harlow replied, his tone stone cold. But you might be jeopardizing the mission. You really think a friendly game will change anything? Jake bit back an instinctive retort, struggling to balance his thoughts. He turned away from the group, feeling the camaraderie he'd experienced today feel distant, overshadowed by protocols that felt restrictive. The following day, Jake's heart felt heavier as his team prepared for another scouting run. Memories of the laughter, lightness, and warmth from his encounter with Sandra echoed in his mind like a cherished melody. He hoped she was safe somewhere, but dread crept into his heart as he imagined how his fellow soldiers might treat her if they inadvertently captured her. After pushing through the thick underbrush, the team set a perimeter around the area of the ruins. Just beyond the matted trees and coarse vines, Jake spotted flashes of color, unexpectedly vibrant against the drab greens of the jungle landscape. Heart racing and anxiety mounting, he turned to his team. I think we just found something." Before he could react, movement erupted in the clearing. A small group of aliens had appeared, unmistakably including Sandra. Jake felt a sudden storm surge through him as he registered the tense situation. "Contact!" shouted one soldier, his voice a taut string. "Jake, get back!" Panic surged through Jake, sensing the grating urgency rising in the air. "Wait!" He stepped forward, heart pounding. "That's not what you think." But the soldiers were already gearing up to capture the gathering of aliens. "Jake!" Harlow warned sharply, but Jake's feet acted on their own instinct. "Get away from her!" shouted Jake, aware that chaos was quick to unfold. He was too close. Every fiber of his being demanded protection for Sandra. "Why should we, Jake?" replied one soldier, worry creeping into his voice. "Because they're not the enemy. She's different. She's like us," Jake retorted, desperate to stop an escalation. Sandra, clearly startled at first, began to retreat, her confusion emerging as clarity for everyone. The joyous laughter from yesterday faded into the stillness of apprehension. "Jake, stand down," Captain Harlow barked. "Sandra, no, stop," Jake called, instinctively reaching for her, a protective urge surging within him. Okay, just relax everyone," Sandra pleaded, her wide eyes reflecting the gray divide between them. Her friends, always eager for a good time, now wary of the looming threat. "Stand down, soldier," Harlow shouted, his tone echoing like a gunshot in the tranquil woods. Jake's heart raced. He perceived every moment as a delicate balancing act teetering perilously close to disaster. The tension spiked, echoing through the jungle like a drum roll, and it became apparent that their fates rode on this fragile thread. The jungle seemed to hold its breath as Jake raced toward Sandra. The air was thick with confusion, and the heavy tension of a potential conflict sparked at the edges of chaos. He had to protect her. "Jake, get back," Harlow's command thundered, but Jake felt a singular clarity in the urgency driving him forward. He was not going to let fear dictate this moment. "Sandra, please, it's okay," he yelled, desperate to convey calmness through sheer force of will, as he endeavored to bridge the rift. Sandra hesitated, her luminescent skin glowing beneath the urgent light filtering through the canopy. She peered at Jake between her friends, a mix of confusion and apprehension filling her gaze. Before either of them could speak, a soldier raised his weapon, his command unwavering. "Stand down, alien. We're not here to play games." "Enough." Jake stepped forward, arms raised in an effort to defuse the situation. "These are not the enemies you think they are." "If they're not a threat, why are they gathering?" asked one soldier, his voice tense and filled with mistrust as he tightened his grip on his weapon, prepared for an aggressive outcome. "Because they want to be friendly. They don't understand our actions. Please, listen," Jake responded urgently, desperation imbued with a newfound strength. "Let's just talk to them." "Jake, you're not a diplomat. You're a soldier," barked Harlow, an unwavering authoritarian grip on the situation still intact. "Maybe it should be like this. You're giving them no chance," Jake shot back, pushing against Harlow's stringent decree. "They're just trying to figure us out." The tension crested. Jake's heart pounded loudly in his ears as the soldiers hesitated, caught in the ebb and flow of Jake's impassioned plea. "Sandra," he called, his voice softer now, brimming with earnestness. "I'm not going to hurt you. We're not here to cause malice. Can you trust me?" Sandra looked at him, debating her options, doubt shadowing her features. "You humans are full of fire and miscommunication," she exclaimed, her voice trembling as emotion bubbled to the surface. "What does it take for you to understand?" "Tell her, we came here to learn," Jake replied, stepping closer, acutely aware that the distance between them determined their next steps. "Learn? By storming in?" she spat back, her emotions palpable. "I am sorry," Jake said earnestly. "I didn't want this. I just wanted to play again, like last time. I promise we're not looking to take you away. We just want to understand." The silence felt thick. Sandra's eyes glanced to her friends before locking back onto Jake, her expression full of caution, but softened determination flickering beneath. She needed to understand. "All right," she said, albeit cautiously. "You need to show us your intentions." Jake's heart raced with relief. "Thank you. Let's talk. Together, we can find a way to make this work." The air slowly thinned, the tension replaced by the tentative steps toward understanding. Just moments ago, chaos had threatened to engulf them, Now, the potential for bridging worlds shimmered on the horizon, glistening with promise. With the air thick with unease, Jake became acutely aware of the gazes directed at both him and Sandra. Soldiers stood uncertainly beside him, their weapons slowly lowering, as if they were a part of unpaved roads leading toward something greater. "Jake, I need you to step aside," came Harlow's voice, but Jake steadied himself. His heart pounded fiercely as he pressed on. "We need to treat them as equals. We're guests here, not conquerors." Sandra nodded vigorously, her eyes warming as they met Jake's earnest gaze. There was something inherently powerful about that connection, illuminating the shadows surrounding them. Jake turned to the gathering of soldiers, adamant. "I came here to understand these beings. They deserve our respect. We don't have to enter into battle at every moment. We have to learn." Sandra's expression softened as Jake continued. "Let's share not just our homes, but our stories. We came searching for technology. Let's not forget the most significant discovery is us." Captain Harlow, finally stepping back, took a deep breath, the hard set of his jaw relaxing but remaining vigilant. "All right, we'll give them a chance." Sandra looked at her friends, and after a moment of silence, one of them stepped forward, still on edge but willing to give things a try. "What do you want to understand?" he asked, his tone careful. "Everything," Jake replied eagerly. "Your culture, your thoughts, everything about your world, even why you treat the world in such brilliant colors." "Everything?" Sandra echoed, her eyes wide with enthusiasm. "Do you understand what you ask? It would take ages. But fine, I can show you our traditional dances, our art." "And I can show you our Lumina games. They're really fun," Sandra declared excitedly. Jake grinned back at her, feeling the air around them fill with possibility. "A Lumina friendship showdown. You're on." The tension around them dissipated, and the initial concern morphed into excitement as Jake and Sandra exchanged stories of their worlds, tales bursting with playful lore about heroes, traditions, and the joys of their respective cultures. "Will it keep me alive?" Jake teased when Sandra described the world's vibrant dishes typical of their gatherings. "Absolutely. But only if you survive my Lumina games first," she shot back, laughter sparkling in her voice. The gravity of the moment began to lighten, replaced by an organic flow of conversation that evolved into an animated discussion. As twilight draped over the horizon and glowing bioluminescent plants illuminated the clearing, a warmth radiated around them. Jake stole glances at Sandra, her eyes hinting at the fleeting vulnerability present beneath her vibrant exterior. He could sense the weight of unspoken thoughts hovering between them. As laughter filled the air and stories entwined, Jake felt his heart swell with a sense of belonging he hadn't anticipated. They'd crossed a threshold, allowing trust and understanding to take root, drawing them closer together through the thread of shared narratives, width of experience, and realization of interdependence. As the night grew darker, the vibrant clearing pulsed with energy. Flickering lights danced in a kaleidoscope of colors under the stars, while the comforting scent of earth and otherworldly blossoms enveloped them in an immersive embrace. Jake and Sandra found themselves standing side by side, their surroundings alive with energy from both humans and aliens. "This is incredible," Jake said, taking a moment to appreciate the tranquility amidst the chaos of the day. "Welcome to my world," Sandra replied with a soft smile that sent an exhilarating shiver through him. The soldiers and aliens mingled, laughter rising in the cool air, embodying a new sense of belonging. They exchanged playful taunts, created impromptu games, and shared songs from both cultures, reverberating into the night. "What would you call this?" Jake mused, gesturing at the vibrant mix of beings around them. "Our first interspecies friendship festival," Sandra declared, laughter brightening her features, and Jake couldn't help but join in. "Does that come with a costume?" Jake teased, and Sandra pulled him further into playful banter. "Only if you're up for it. I could give you a makeover," she quipped, grinning mischievously. "Just remember, I am a soldier, not a model," Jake replied, feigning seriousness, though the thought of being subject to her playful whims sent a new, thrilling wave through him. "But models are excellent at showing skin," she replied, her eyes dancing knowingly, urging him to meet her playfulness. All right, Sandra, don't push your luck, Jake laughed, leaning closer, feeling a rush of warmth as their shoulders brushed, sending tingles radiating through him. They said opposites attract, she quietly responded, her gaze steady and softening. As the stars twinkled above them, Jake felt lighter than he had in years, the weight of worry slipping away, replaced by warmth radiating from the connections they had built. He knew they were just beginning to understand each other's worlds, and that the horizon held uncharted territories, both emotional and physical. With newfound resolve, Jake reached out, gently taking Sandra's hand in his. The sincerity in her eyes spoke to his heart, and he knew this was just the beginning of their adventures. "Ready for tomorrow?" he asked, glancing between the alien world around him and the horizon. "Ready to lead you into new worlds," she laughed, squeezing his hand as they prepared to step into that golden dawn, symbolizing the vast potential ahead. As they walked together under the stars, bantering and teasing, laughter filled their surroundings, echoing through Zeta Prime. In that moment, a new dawn awaited them, a chance to build friendships that transcended galaxies, ready to embrace the adventure ahead. Through light and laughter, they had dismantled borders and built bridges, allowing a human soldier and an alien girl to explore their unique connection, while promising to forge a future together that defied the limitations of their worlds.